10 years ago, two people both opened a Roth IRA. Same day, same discipline, both maxed it out every single year, left it alone, and never touched it. Fast forward to today, one of them has about $200,000, tax-free. Sounds pretty good. The other one has nearly $680,000, also tax-free. Same account, same time horizon, same commitment. The only difference was what they actually put inside it. That's the entire point of this video. Your Roth IRA might be the most powerful investing account you'll ever own, but only if you use it right. The basic structure is this: you contribute after-tax dollars now, the money grows completely tax-free inside the account, and when you retire and start pulling it out, you owe zero taxes on any of it. Not on the contributions, not on the gains, not on anything. That's not a loophole. That's literally what the account is designed to do. For 2026, the contribution limit is $7,500 per year if you're under 50 and $8,600 if you're 50 or older. For most people, that under 50 limit works out to exactly $625 per month. Now, here's what that actually becomes at an average 10% annual return, a reasonable long-term planning assumption based on the historical stock market average. 25 years, $829,000 tax-free. 30 years, $1.4 million tax-free. 35 years, $2.37 million tax-free. And those numbers grow considerably if the ETFs you hold outperform that 10% baseline, which is exactly what the 5 ETFs in this video have historically done. Quick disclaimer before we dive in. Nothing in this video is personalized financial advice. It's for educational purposes only. Always do your own research before making investment decisions. I'm going to walk through one ETF per category, cover the best alternatives for each, and at the end, I'll build 3 example portfolios based on different risk tolerances. Let's get into it. ETF 1, VTI. The first ETF is VTI, Vanguard's Total Stock Market ETF. This is the foundation. If your Roth IRA is a building, VTI is the concrete slab it sits on. VTI holds approximately 3,500 US stocks, every sector, every size, from Apple and Microsoft at the top to hundreds of smaller companies most people have never heard of. You're not trying to pick the next NVIDIA. You're saying, I want to own the entire US stock market in a single fund. Ticker VTI. Expense ratio, 0.03%. This is about as low as fees get. For every $10,000 you invest, you pay $3 per year. That's it. Holdings, approximately 3,500 US stocks. 10-year annualized return, approximately 14 to 15% per year. Now, to be clear, the long-run historical average for the stock market, going back decades, is closer to 9 to 10% per year. The last decade has been exceptionally strong, driven largely by mega-cap technology companies. So, when projecting future returns, 10% is still the more conservative and defensible planning number. But the recent track record shows this fund can do considerably better. VTI isn't exciting. You're not going to brag about VTI at a dinner party, but it should do the heavy lifting in your Roth IRA, a large, stable core that keeps growing reliably over time. A common misconception worth addressing here. If you've heard of Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, its ticker is VOO, not VO. That's an important distinction because VO is actually Vanguard's mid-cap ETF, a completely different product. VOO tracks the 500 largest US companies, and because those companies make up the majority of VTI's weight anyway, the two funds behave similarly. VTI just adds more small and mid-cap diversification at the edges. Other alternatives worth knowing: ITOT from iShares is their total U.S. market fund, and SCHD from Schwab covers the same broad market. Any of these are fine. Pick one that aligns with your brokerage and move on. You don't need to trade between them. ETF number 2, QQQM, Invesco's NASDAQ 100 ETF. If VTI is the foundation, QQQM is the growth engine layered on top of it. It holds roughly 100 of the largest non-financial companies listed on the NASDAQ: Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Alphabet, and their peers. You're tilting heavily toward technology, communication services, and consumer growth companies. Ticker QQQM. Expense ratio 0.15%. Holdings approximately 100 non-financial NASDAQ companies. 5-year annualized return approximately 18% per year. Now, to be clear, QQQM was launched in October 2020, so it only has about 5 years of actual track record, but it tracks the exact same index as QQQ, which has existed since 1999. Looking at QQQ's historical performance over the past decade, the NASDAQ 100 index has returned approximately 17 to 18% annualized, driven by the technology and AI supercycle we've been living through. Why QQQM instead of QQQ? Same index, lower cost. QQQM charges 0.15%, QQQ charges 0.2%. Over 30 years, that 0.05% difference on a large portfolio compounds into real money. The deeper reason to hold QQQM in your Roth IRA specifically is this: you want your highest growth assets inside your tax-free account. Every extra percentage point QQQM earns above the market is a percentage point you never pay taxes on. Here's the warning though, and it's important. QQQM is significantly more volatile than VTI. When technology and growth stocks fall, this fund falls harder than the broader market. During the dot-com bust from 2000 to 2002, the NASDAQ 100, the same index QQQM tracks today, dropped approximately 80% from peak to trough. The S&P 500 fell about 50% over the same period. That's a meaningful difference when you're watching your account balance. That's not a reason to avoid QQQM, it's a reason to size it appropriately, which we'll get to in the portfolio section. Alternatives to consider: Vanguard's VUG, Schwab's SCHG, or Vanguard's MGK, the Mega Cap Growth ETF. Each focuses on large cap growth companies and will serve a similar purpose, tilting your Roth IRA toward higher long-term return potential. ETF number 3. SPMO. The third ETF is SPMO, Invesco's S&P 500 Momentum ETF. This one is genuinely interesting because it uses a rules-based approach to try to beat the market, and it has. Here's how it works. SPMO starts with the entire S&P 500. Then it selects roughly the top 100 stocks based on their trailing 12-month price performance, adjusted for volatility. Every 6 months, it rebalances, rotating out of the fading names and into the new momentum leaders. The underlying logic: stocks that have been winning consistently tend to keep winning, at least for a while. This is called the momentum factor, and it's one of the most well-documented phenomena in academic finance. Ticker SPMO. Expense ratio 0.13%. Holdings roughly 100 large-cap S&P 500 momentum stocks. 10-year annualized return approximately 20 to 21% per year. That 10-year figure is the number to pause on, approximately 20 to 21% annualized over a decade, compared to the S&P 500's roughly 13 to 14% over the same period. That's a meaningful gap, and every bit of that outperformance held inside a Roth IRA compounds completely tax-free. Now, momentum can cut both ways. If the market rotates quickly, from growth to value, from tech to energy, SPMO might be holding yesterday's winners while they fall, and since it only rebalances every 6 months, it doesn't respond to sudden shifts quickly. There's genuine risk in that lag. The alternative worth knowing, MTUM from iShares, is their momentum ETF, and it's more diversified across sectors than SPMO. That diversification has actually caused it to underperform SPMO historically, so it depends on whether you prefer concentration or breadth. Both are valid approaches within a momentum framework. ETF number 4, SCHD, the fourth ETF. is Schwab's U.S. Dividend Equity ETF. While QQQM and SPMO are about chasing the highest possible growth, SCHD is about quality. It holds roughly 100 dividend-paying U.S. companies that pass a strict screening process, at least 10 consecutive years of dividend payments, strong financial ratios, and competitive dividend yield relative to peers. These aren't just companies that pay a dividend, they're companies that have demonstrated the financial discipline to sustain and grow their payments over time. Ticker SCHD, expense ratio 0.06%. Holdings, roughly 100 U.S. dividend-paying stocks. 10-year annualized return, approximately 12.4% per year. That 10-year return is lower than QQQM or SPMO, but the comparison isn't quite apples to apples because SCHD also generates consistent dividend income along the way. And here's where the Roth IRA creates a specific, underappreciated advantage. In a regular taxable brokerage account, dividends are taxed as ordinary income in the year they received, even if you immediately reinvest them. That's a quiet annual tax drag that compounds against you over decades. In a Roth IRA, those dividends land in your account completely free. You reinvest them, they compound on top of the previous compounding, and you eventually pull all of it out in retirement without paying a dime. SCHD also does something none of the other funds on this list do as cleanly. It helps balance the overall portfolio risk. When high-growth tech gets hit hard, quality dividend companies often hold their ground better. That kind of stability is underrated when you're managing a portfolio through decades of market cycles. The alternative worth knowing, VIG from iShares, is their Dividend Appreciation ETF. VIG focuses specifically on companies with a long history of growing their dividends each year, rather than just paying high current yield. Both are excellent. VIG tends to be slightly more growth-tilted, while SCHD offers a bit more yield today.
ETF 5, SMH, the VanEck Semiconductor ETF. I'm calling this the moonshot position, and the data earns that label in a way I want to be fully transparent about, because the original figures cited in a lot of older discussions about this fund are significantly understated. SMH holds roughly 26 semiconductor companies: NVIDIA, TSMC, Broadcom, ASML, Qualcomm, and their peers. These are the companies that design and manufacture the chips powering everything: AI data centers, smartphones, electric vehicles, autonomous systems, cloud infrastructure, defense technology. Semiconductors aren't just a tech story, they're physical infrastructure for the modern economy. Ticker SMH, expense ratio 0.35%. Holdings, roughly 26 semiconductor stocks. 10-year annualized return, approximately 38% per year. Let me make sure that number lands correctly. Not 19%, not 25%, approximately 38% annualized over the past decade. That means $10,000 invested in SMH 10 years ago is now worth roughly $300,000 or more, all of which, if held in a Roth IRA, is completely tax-free. Over the last 12 months alone, SMH has returned over 100%, more than doubled in a single year. Now, I have to be direct with you because these numbers can create dangerous thinking. SMH is the riskiest ETF on this list by a significant margin. It holds 25 stocks in a single sector. If semiconductor demand collapses, oversupply, geopolitical export restrictions, AI investment slowdown, a general tech bear market, this fund can fall 50 to 70% in a downturn. That has happened before and will happen again. The reason it belongs in a Roth IRA at a small allocation is exactly that. You capture the extraordinary upside potential completely tax-free, while the limited allocation ensures it doesn't define the outcome if it crashes. Alternatives in this space, SOXX from iShares covers a similar semiconductor universe with slightly different weightings. If you want a broader AI theme, AIQ from GlobalX tracks artificial intelligence and technology across a wider set of companies. And if you believe in a small digital assets allocation, IBIT from iShares or FBTC from Fidelity are low-cost Bitcoin ETFs. All of these carry high risk, all belong, if anywhere, as a small tactical slice. Let's put these 5 ETFs into actual portfolios. Here are 3 approaches depending on where you are and how much volatility you can handle. Portfolio 1, Simple Growth, best for beginners. VTI, 50%, Core Foundation, QQQM, 20%, Growth Tilt, SCHD, 15%, Quality and Income Compounding, SPMO, 10%, Momentum Factor, SMH, 5%, Moonshot Position. Half the portfolio in VTI gives you broad, stable market exposure. QQQM layers on the tech growth tilt. SCHD adds quality and dividend compounding. SPMO adds a small factor edge. And SMH gets a 5% position, meaningful enough to matter if semiconductors keep running, contained enough that if they don't, you're fine. This is the portfolio for someone who wants real growth, doesn't want to overthink it, and can commit to staying invested for 20 to 30 years. In a severe bear market, this might fall 35 to 45%, but over a full market cycle, it's built to outperform a simple index fund approach.
Portfolio 2, Aggressive Growth, Long Time Horizon Required. VTI, 35%, Foundation. QQQM, 25%, Heavy Growth Tilt. SPMO, 15%, Momentum Factor. SMH, 15%, Semiconductor Concentration. SCHD, 10%, Quality Anchor. This version is for someone in their 20s or early 30s with a high risk tolerance and a long runway ahead. Be honest with yourself before choosing this one. In a serious bear market, this portfolio could fall 50 to 60%. If seeing that drop makes you want to sell, this isn't the right fit. If your reaction to a 50% drop is to think, I should put in more money while prices are low, this portfolio could serve you well over a long enough horizon. Portfolio 3, Income plus Growth Balance, closer to retirement or dividend preference. VTI, 40%, Core Foundation. SCHD, 25%, Quality Income Anchor. QQQM, 15%, Tech Growth. SPMO, 10%, Momentum Factor. SMH, 15%, Growth Kicker. If I was building a Roth IRA from scratch today, I'd probably start with Portfolio 1, or honestly even simpler, just VTI and QQQM to begin, and build from there as my confidence and knowledge grow. You don't need to overcomplicate it to get excellent long-term results. If you're currently holding one of these ETFs in your Roth IRA, or if you're holding something completely different, drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what you're building, and these conversations tend to be some of the most useful in the whole comment section.